Oh my word, I don't believe this. I have been so lucky.
In this video I share my experience at Shingwedzi Rest Camp, where I encountered an incredible variety of wildlife and had some serious leopard luck. It's not every trip that offers so many different animal sightings, especially in the quieter northern regions of the park, but this visit truly delivered.
This is going to be a good one, so get comfy and enjoy the video.
Shingwedzi is located in the northern region of the Kruger National Park. It is very close to the border of Mozambique. It was very warm when I arrived at the camp, and I found some shade and set up immediately. I was joined by a tree squirrel and a few greater blue-eared starlings. It didn't take long to set up, and I was off on my first game drive.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. For the next 5 nights, I'll be camping in the Shingwedzi area of the Kruger National Park. And those of you that saw my last video that I filmed at Shingwedzi will know just how special the sightings were that this area produced. I arrived in the area a few hours ago and set up my campsite. Temperatures got up to 36 degrees today, so it was really hot when I was putting up the tent. At the moment, I'm on the Red Rocks Loop, the S52. And I can tell you guys that there's so much water around compared to the last time I was here in July last year. It's the start of April and the bush is thick, the mapani trees have leaves, everything is green, and I'm just so excited to be sharing this with you. Guys, I just got seriously lucky here. 2 lions, male and female, in the road. I just filmed the introduction to this video and there's a herd of impala. I don't know if they can see the lion or smell them, but you can hear them alarm calling in the distance. But unbelievable, these are actually the first lions that I've seen on the Red Rocks Loop. Last time I was here, I only saw them around Shingwedzi, east of Shingwedzi and north of Shingwedzi. I haven't been lucky enough to see them around here. Beautiful male and female.
Kruger National Park is home to one of the largest lion populations in Africa, with an estimated 1,800 individuals, which makes it one of the best places to view natural lion behavior. However, lions are not as common in the northern parts of the Kruger, where studies suggest only 105 lions occupy an area of around 5,000 square kilometers, and the whole of Kruger is around 20,000 square kilometers.
So they just got up off the road now and moved off into the thicker bushes. I could not have asked for a better start to this trip. I was worried at first that I wasn't going to see any cats because the bush is really thick and mapani is difficult to see through. Really, really difficult. I was not expecting to see those 2 lions in the road when I took the corner, but I need to head back to camp now.
As temperatures dropped and the sun began to set, it bathed everything in a warm golden light. I couldn't help but stop and admire the colors along the Shingwedzi River. This is the time of day I like to call Leopard hour. As I approached the junction to the low water crossing over the river, perched on top of a termite mound was my first sighting of Shingwedzi gold, a beautiful leopardess. To say I couldn't believe what I was seeing would be an understatement.
Guys, I can't believe it. That's the first leopard I've seen in the Shingwedzi area. I haven't even been here for one night. Yeah, I can't believe it, guys. Honestly. I'm lost for words. I've been coming to Kruger for a long time, and it's been a while since I had a sighting where I couldn't actually believe what I was looking at. But anyway, as you guys know, the search for wildlife doesn't stop once the camp gates close in the evening. At the moment I'm walking around looking for an African scops owl. I heard it calling here, and I'm standing at a lamppost inside one of the rondavel circles, because I'm sure that this attracts insects that they feed on, and they're calling around me. So hopefully I can get lucky and film one. Really special, the scops owl didn't want to stop calling. What a day. Lions, leopards, and now this guy performing in front of the camera. Couldn't have asked for a better start to my time here at Shingwedzi. Really, I couldn't have.
Then I must show you this massive Turner's gecko that I saw. You can usually see them at the bathrooms inside of the Kruger. They come out at night, and they're a species of thick-toed gecko.
Morning guys, and welcome to my first full day in the park today. And I've decided that I'd come back to the Red Rocks Loop, the S52, and have a look in the same area where I saw the lions and that leopard yesterday evening. Man, I couldn't believe what I was looking at yesterday evening. It was like I had seen a ghost. The amount of times I drove this road the last time I was in the Shingwedzi area. Yeah, but I'm back here having a look. It's an overcast day today, so it's going to be a bit cooler than it was yesterday, no doubt. Yesterday was a real exception. It got up to 37 degrees. And yeah, hopefully I can come right today, but I'm going to take it slow, scan around here. I know that the animals are around in this area, so I didn't want to drive a different route or head off in a different direction.
This side-striped jackal is an uncommon sighting in the Kruger National Park, although they are more frequently seen in the north than they are in the south. And with temperatures cool and overcast skies, I did notice an abundance of bird life along the river. This video was filmed a few months after the impalas gave birth, and big herds like this were a common sight. The impala population looked to be just under full capacity, and listen to the noise they make as they move through the bushveld. I parked here next to this cluster of wild dagga plants which attracted a variety of butterflies. I tried my best to catch them on camera, which wasn't easy. They're constantly moving between the flowers, but it was definitely worth the stop.
I'm at the Red Rocks lookout at the moment. I stopped here to have some breakfast because you can get out of your vehicle and you can see the Red Rocks behind me, which are part of the Shingwedzi riverbed. A few months ago this was all underwater after some heavy summer rains, and it's been an interesting morning. It started off with those side-striped jackals, which are really an uncommon animal to see in the park. I've only seen it a handful of times. And there were also a few really big herds of impala where I got to see that leopard yesterday afternoon. So I'm sure it found a meal before the end of the day. I'm absolutely certain. Yeah, and it's a cool day today, so I'm going to head back to Shingwedzi. I'm going to hang around here, head back to Shingwedzi, and probably bird around in the camp because temperatures aren't going to be so high as they were yesterday.
This water monitor was fishing right next to the road in the Shingwedzi riverbed. Watch how it uses its entire body starting from one end of the water and sweeping through, effectively trapping its prey in the shallower pool. Eventually it managed to catch a fish. This was very interesting. I haven't witnessed this sort of behavior before. With plenty to graze and water available, the buffalo aren't moving as much as they would during the dry season. It's a much more relaxed time of year for them, and they're not constantly trekking between food and water sources. When I got back to the camp, there was a big male elephant grazing along the fence line, and things had started to warm up. I didn't do any birding. It turned out to be another very warm day.
This afternoon I decided to do the S50, which is out of the camp's back gate. It's named the East Gate, and I'm parked here looking at two lioness across the dry riverbed on the opposite bank of the river. Every now and then they get up and move around, but they're pretty stationary, so I've got a good view of them even though it is quite far away. And this Kaniduit road really produced the most for me during my last trip to this area of the park.
Even though there is plenty of water around, these elephants prefer to dig for fresher water, which they sense beneath the sand. This underground water is a cleaner and cooler source than the stagnant open pools on the surface. Shortly after seeing those lions, I came across a herd of impalas that were on high alert. There was also a tree squirrel making an alarm call in the background, which made me think they must have seen something. But after waiting a few minutes and scanning the area, I moved on.
I've been doing the S50, the Kanyiduat Road, for a while now, and other than those lines, it's been relatively quiet. I'm parked next to this nice woodlands kingfisher, which was calling a few moments ago, but there's about 40 minutes left, and I'm going to turn around and head back to Shingwedzi and park off at the low-level bridge, which crosses over the river, and hopefully some nice general game comes down and has a drink in the riverbed. But it's been a relatively quiet afternoon compared to the unimaginable one that I had yesterday. I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. If you are, give it a like, subscribe, let me know what you're thinking about it. It's still just only getting started.
The colors of the sunset look like a painting, and this young waterbuck tiptoed across the rocks which line the river in front of the rest camp. The baboons from the previous evening were still in the riverbed. I don't think they would have spent the night there, because there are definitely safer places to shelter from predators overnight, and a riverbed is probably one of their worst options. The only view I was able to get of these brown-headed parrots was at quite a distance. They're one of my favorite bird species that you can find in the park. Male impalas chase and fight each other for a number of reasons, to show dominance and to either defend or gain herds and territory. But what I found interesting is that they can go from being extremely aggressive to acting as if nothing ever happened almost instantly. I wasn't able to identify what this African harrier hawk had found in the hollow part of this tree. I suspect it might have been a woodland kingfisher nest, which would explain why the harrier hawk was being mobbed by a woodland kingfisher, but I couldn't be 100% certain.
I drove the roads which surround Shingwedzi Rest Camp this morning, and after about 2 hours I saw a few nice bird species, and in general it was pretty quiet. I tried to see those lions that I saw yesterday afternoon, but I couldn't find them, and I decided to head down the H16 and take the S52 Red Rocks loop turnoff. And now once again I'm the only car at a lion sighting. Here next to the road is a pride of 7 lion, 3 adults and 4 juveniles, and I don't know, another car couldn't have come past too recently. And it looks like 2 of these lions are the same 2 that I saw on my first afternoon here at Shingwedzi, which was about 3 or 4 k's away from this spot. And the Shingwedzi River is only about 100 meters away, so maybe if I sit patiently they'll get up and go and have a drink, unless they did that before I arrived. And they're just chilling out in the open, luckily for me, because the mapani trees are quite dense here, so I think if they were a bit further in I wouldn't have been able to see them. But this S52 has definitely been the most productive area in terms of game viewing. I'm going to wait here for as long as possible to see if they do anything. The adults don't look like they're going to fall asleep. They're all sitting upright, so let's see what happens. The 3 adult lions made their way off into the bushes, probably to go and find some shade, and they've left the 4 juveniles here around the vehicle, and they're inquisitive. They don't look like they're too interested in moving off.
The young lions made their way off of the road and fell asleep in the shade of these mapani trees. I then decided to head back to the camp for the heat of the day.
Guys, this afternoon I came straight back to where I saw the lions, and while I was at the camp they must have come down for a drink, because the female is still here, lying right next to the Shingwedzi River. I'm on the low water bridge at the moment and she's about 25 meters away from me. Really special. I've been so lucky this trip.
After re-watching the footage, it looks like this female lion has some red coloring around her mouth and nose, which likely indicates that the pride had caught something or had been feeding while I was back at the camp. After the lioness disappeared into the thick vegetation, I slowly made my way back to the camp, taking in as much as I could. It had been a few days since my leopard sighting on the Red Rocks Loop, and each time I returned to the spot I came up empty. By this point in the trip, I started to think that I had used up all my leopard luck on my first afternoon. Soon it was the end of another perfect day at Shingwedzi. Visit my website richardvanhak.com, where you'll find products like camera mounts for car doors as well as videography courses. You can also support the channel on Patreon, and thank you so much to everyone who already supports the channel. It truly means a lot and goes such a long way.
I decided to do a similar route to the one I did yesterday morning, doing the roads which surround the rest camp and not going too far, so I can enjoy this golden light before it disappears. It only lasts about an hour and a half, maybe even less. And when I came out of Shingwedzi Rest Camp this morning, that Veru's eagle owl, the biggest owl in Africa, definitely hunting before the start of the day.
These white-browed sparrow weavers are uncommon, but you can see them in a few places in the Kruger where they've been nesting in the same area for several years. Their nests are untidy and made out of long pieces of grass. These two birds were being mobbed by a woodland kingfisher. I spent the rest of the morning taking in the iconic scenes along the Shingwedzi River.
I've just been parked here at this body of water watching the white-faced whistling ducks, the red-billed teal, and there were 2 Egyptian geese here earlier. And I noticed next to me is a tree that an elephant has come past and rubbed itself up against because there's mud all over the tree. Ideal rubbing post, obviously. Really interesting. Not something I would have noticed if I came driving past. So I'm making my way back to Shingwedzi Rest Camp along the S50, the Kanidurt Road. It'll be about 10 o'clock when I get there.
This South African python was a big surprise, lying right across the road. It was my first sighting of one of these in the park, and if you look closely, there's even a butterfly on the front of its head. The python was halfway across the road before it turned around and disappeared under a cluster of palms, where I lost sight of it. It was a short-lived but memorable encounter.
I'm back at Shingwedzi now, and there was a really lucky sighting of that southern African python, the first one I've seen in the Kruger Park. It looked like it wanted to cross the road and the car actually spooked it off. But yeah, really lucky. Right now I'm going to take a walk around Shingwedzi and see what birds and other animals I can film. So luckily a guy that I was having a conversation with in the campsite got to point out those 2 juvenile little sparrowhawks, otherwise I don't think I would have ended up seeing them. And they posed perfectly for me in front of the camera. Really lucky to get such a good sight of them. And now I'm between the fuel station and the park shop, and I've just seen a southern red-billed hornbill nest in this mapani tree, and every now and then it comes back and feeds its juveniles. So the adult birds bring food to these chicks every 10 minutes or so, and you can actually see their bills peeping through the nesting cavity. And because that cavity inside of the tree is so small, they're pushing out any unwanted waste that may be taking up too much space in there. But
yeah, great sighting.
There were a few other bird species to be seen that afternoon, and this grey-headed bushshrike I'd been hearing every time I visited the park shop. That afternoon I wanted to spend more time on the Kanidoot side of Shingwedzi, and as I left the camp I spotted 4 female lions moving through the vegetation. Luckily I had a good idea of where they were heading. I managed to see them make their way down into the riverbed, where they were still visible. Eventually they moved off, and in the end only a very distant visual was possible.
So I just got back to the camp now, and I'm at the Shingwedzi Day Visitors area looking at the river, and there are a few waterbuck feeding here in front of me. And guys, I can't believe how lucky I've been on this trip. The last 4 afternoons I've had about 5 lion sightings and 1 leopard sighting, so the big cats have really shown themselves during this trip. The last trip in July last year, I think I only saw lion twice, so really unbelievable. And the owls calling in the camp, can already hear the scops, and tonight I'll try for the pearl spotted owlet. Yeah, but really unbelievable. Listen to the water thickney calling in the background. Yeah, it's really special, guys.
This call is the Levine's cuckoo, and the water thickney is calling in the background.
It's my 4th morning in the park this morning, and I decided just to go out the back gate and have a look to see if I could find those female lions that were in the riverbed yesterday afternoon. And they're here. They look like they're hunting something on the far embankment.
After re-watching the footage I could see that they weren't hunting anything. They were just playing with one another. It was interesting to see a fully grown lion behaving like this.
It's a dark, gloomy morning. It rained a little bit during the night. Nothing much though, but it's nice and cool. The last 4 days it's been really warm. This morning I haven't gone too far from Shingwedzi Rest Camp. I'm on the S134 at the moment, the road that loops around the back of camp opposite to the river. And there's a nice big herd of zebra over here, and in between them is a pair of tsesubi, a really nice antelope to see. And just while I've been sitting here, some chestnut-backed sparrowlarks have flown past, landed next to the vehicle, and then eventually moved on. And in terms of the temperature, today has definitely been the coolest. You can see the clouds covering the sky behind me.
Despite the cool weather and the gentle breeze, there was a lot of activity. But this kind of weather isn't ideal if you want to see cats. They don't like the wind. It greatly affects how active they are.
I'm at the Jow waterhole here, just off of the H16, about 7 or 8 kilometers from Shingwedzi Rest Camp. And there's a big male leopard here with a young waterbuck that it either caught last night or this morning. I'm gonna wait here as long as I possibly can to see if it comes down and feeds on that waterbuck, because it's a little concealed where it is at the moment in the tree, but the waterbuck is lying in a nice open position, so hopefully it comes down and feeds in the open where I can get a good shot of it. I couldn't see him in the tree for a while, but he's just spun around and repositioned himself facing away from me. Yeah, I thought he was going to come down to feed there, and I was not ready at all with the camera.
He then made his way to the fork of the tree where the waterbuck was placed, and I could clearly see how massive he was. Definitely the dominant male leopard in the area. What an absolute beast. Just to sit and watch this guy was incredible. I was the only car at the sighting. This was only my second leopard sighting in 3 visits to Shingwedzi.
I've been sitting here at this leopard sighting since I arrived at 9 o'clock this morning, and it only came down the tree that once and returned after about 5 minutes. Don't know where it went. But it hasn't fed on that waterbuck once since I've been here, and it's just gone 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been here since 9.
Just as I thought he was about to come down into the open again, he shifted into a more comfortable position in the tree.
My plan is to stay here until about 5 o'clock. Hopefully it comes down to feed during that time. But then I'm going to spend the last hour of the day driving around in the area north of the bridge, Lamont Waterhole, and then make my way back to Shingwedzi. I still haven't got those pearl-spotted owlets in the camp yet, but I don't know if I'll be able to catch them tonight. It's really quite windy and overcast. From the people that I've spoken to that have driven past here, not a lot of other things have been seen today, and because it's quite windy, not a lot of bird action either. I mean, hopefully he does something that made all of this waiting worth it, but even if he doesn't, I got such a nice view of him when he came down the tree. About 6 hours ago.
Finally, he descended into the open again. I must say, this is the first time I've seen a young waterbuck in a tree. Usually the big cats avoid waterbuck because of the oily secretion emitted from their skin, which creates a musky odor and a bitter taste. This oily secretion also serves as waterproofing to their coat, hence the name waterbuck. By now, 2 or 3 other cars had arrived at the sighting, and since I had the best view, I decided to move on. Luckily, the show wasn't over yet, and there was more Shingwedzi gold waiting for me closer to the camp.
Guys, I don't believe this. I'm about 2 k's from Shingwedzi Rest Camp. Oh my word, I don't believe this. I have been so lucky. Oh my word.
This was really one of those Kruger visits where I felt like I experienced everything possible. The leopards had eluded me on my previous trips finally came out and put on a show, and I was so glad to see the iconic female who's often seen around the camp. But don't be fooled, Shingwedzi can be tough when it comes to game viewing. You can drive these roads for days and your imagination will run wild. That leopard sighting now at gate closing time was really the icing on the cake for the trip. Really it was. I felt a little bit silly waiting at that leopard sighting all day, but I think it eventually paid off. You never know what you're going to miss out on if you leave the sighting, and I am here to film the best possible video for you guys. But yeah guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.